everyone. Good afternoon. We are going to be painting sunflowers today, and I just wanted to say hello first and to show you what we're going to be painting. So this is our thing that we're going to be painting. We're going to be painting a sunflower or a set of sunflowers. I am going to change the composition just a little bit while we're painting because I really don't like the grouping that I have up here. I want to separate them just a little bit, and then I want to just head this over here so you can see my two little muses right here. One reason why I set these chairs up is so that they can stay in the room with me, which is really, really cute. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to set this up right now. If for whatever reason you need to pause or go back, you have that ability on this YouTube Live. I'm just hooking this up right now. So you can go back if you ever need to, and you can do that while I'm still going live. So that is an option for you. I don't think I can necessarily do that on the other sources that we have out there. So a few things that you're going to need. You're going to need a surface to paint on. It could be a cardboard, and I've heard of some people going to be using foam board. That works. If you want to use cardboard, you could do that. Some people are using scrap board paper or scrap paper. That's fine too. This is a piece of paper for me to demonstrate some techniques on it. So I'll be doing that soon. Something like this might be a little too clumsy for you. These are the colors that you're going to need. If you want to paint your background a different color, you can. So I'm going to be using more of a black background, making it really dark, and then I'm going to add some white into it to make it gray. And then while it's drying, I'm going to start working and putting the stems in, and then the flowers and so forth. So we're going to talk a little bit about mixing colors. We're also going to be talking about composition and where you should be putting things, as well as tinting and shading things. So we have a set of flowers that we're going to be doing. Whenever you add white, you're going to be making a tint to it. Whenever you're adding black, that's a shade. So whenever you're overlapping anything, that's where we'll make it a little bit darker by adding black to the color. So let's go ahead and get started. You want to get your largest brush you have, the largest brush. So I have a foam brush that I like to use. If you want to use something else, you could do that. But foam brush is awesome because it holds a lot of paint and it can cover the surface really, really well. So I'm going to be working vertically today. So I might have to move my canvas up and down just a little bit so we can see it. And please excuse the shadow. I can't really get it out of there. That is from one of my lights. So what you're going to do is you'll dip your brush in whatever color you want. It could be a bright blue sky if you want to. If you want to make it look a little bit more cheery, you can make it pink in the background if that's your favorite color. You can make it a sunset if you want to. If you want to do like really dramatic blues on top and then go all the way down to a red, you could do that too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a lot of black at the bottom, and then I'm going to add a little bit more white to the top so it makes it a little lighter on top. Okay, so I'm going to start closer to the bottom. Let's make sure. I want to make sure hey Shauna. I want to make sure that I have the chat open. So if you have a question while we're working, you can go ahead and ask me and I can answer it right away. When you're adding the color to your canvas right now, Don't make it really, really light so that you can't see, so that you can see the back of the canvas or through the canvas, but you don't want to put too much paint where it's really, really hard to dry. If you're having issues with your painting drying in time for the next step, please go get a hair dryer. Okay, so that's something that you can use on your canvas. We always have one inside my classroom at school, and the kids always use the hair dryer to dry whatever they're going to be doing because they are very, very impatient. So what I did right here was I had a lot of black, then I dipped my brush in a little bit of white, so it's going to be gray, and then I'm going to be making it a little bit lighter on top. A lot of times I use a dirty brush, meaning I keep my brush covered with the paint that I am using and then adding a little bit more color and then working with it, so I'm not cleaning my brush. I always have clean brushes when I start, but dirty brushes when I'm working because I can still use that color. If you don't feel like painting sunflowers today, another alternative to this technique that we're going to be using might be daisies or Gerber daisies. Gerber daisies come in lots of different colors. I know my mom does not have yellow. She's been telling me that for the last few paintings. So if you are like her and you don't have yellow, you can make some Gerber daisies. Okay, so I have my background pretty much covered. I'm going to wait a few minutes where everybody else will catch up. And while you're waiting, if you feel like it, you can start painting the sides. So if you're just waiting for people to finish, that's something that you could do, so you're not just sitting there not doing anything. But as of right now, if I put this off to the side, you can see that it's really, really shiny. That means it's going to be hard for me to paint on without picking up some of that color. So I'm just going to let it dry just a little bit more before I start adding the stems and the compositions of the inside of the flower. Hopefully you guys are coming up with different colors other than the ones I'm using. But if you just want to make it as close to mine as possible, that's fine too. My piece is not going to look like the piece that I did before because I don't really particularly care for the way that the flowers were composed. Meaning I don't like their arrangement. And with painting, especially painting with black, it's hard to rearrange the flowers back into it. Oh, so I'm going to be doing some watercolor tutorials too. So if you are interested in doing watercolor, I'm starting my first tutorial this week. I'm just going to be posting it. I'm not going to be doing a live session of it. The reason why is because it takes a lot of drying time. So what I've been doing is videotaping it, then I've been going back and letting it dry and doing something, going outside and maybe doing some chores and then coming back and working on it then. Okay, so I noticed that some of my color kind of wrapped around. I like that, so I'm gonna just bring it in, give it some extra texture for the background. Oops, adding a little too much. Maybe Maybe I'll cover that up with a flower, who knows. Kind of like that. That almost looks like an eerie background. Spooky flowers today. How about that, everyone? If you have not yet turned on some music, that might be a good idea. I'm not putting on music for you guys because I don't want to have you listening to me and then listening to my music and then trying to listen to whatever you want to listen to. But typically, while I'm painting, I'm listening to something, whether it be a podcast or some music. Cool. So I'm going to wait a few more minutes just to make sure everybody's prepared to start coming up with their composition. If any of you have it so that your paper is, or your canvas is going horizontally, that works for this composition, and also vertically, that's the way I'm going to be doing it. All right, while this is drying, I'm going to be going over how we are going to be painting the leaves and the flowers. So we're going to be using a sponge brush a lot, so just hold on to a big brush that you have. What we're going to be doing, let's say we're going to start with the leaves. You're going to be mixing yellow and blue together. You can also mix yellow and black together, and that also makes green. So we have our green ready. I like mixing it a lot on the canvas, but if you are a palette mixer, that's fine. You can do that too. So when we are doing the stem, we're going to really push into our canvas, and we're going to bring it up. Okay, this is just to show you beforehand. We're not doing it right now. I'm going to add a little bit of white to that. For the leaves, what you're going to be doing is you're going to press down and then go in a different direction. Okay, so I kind of like pressed down and came up a little bit and went in a different direction. That will make your leaf. So I'll do it this way. I'm just pressing up. So press down and pressed up. This is the technique that we're going to be using for our leaves too. In the initial composition that I made, the petals were really, really round, and I don't like that. I want to make them a little bit more pointy. So as for the sunflower, let's say we have our sunflower up here, we'll make our little circle. We'll make it a little bit lighter or darker than what it is on the canvas. Then you're going to take your yellow, and my yellow is really, really translucent, meaning you can see through it. So what you're going to do is you're going to add a little bit of white to it if you have to. Okay, and then I will be going over it a few more times, but you're going to press out and lift up. This is a little green because I didn't clean my brush. Okay, so this is basically what we're going to be doing. Now, this looks pretty sparse right now, but when we start working into it, we're going to be doing lots and lots of layers in order to make it look the way that we want to in the end. If you want yours to have really, really round ends, you can do that. We'll be using different brushes for that. Probably use this brush for that, or one of these brushes. That would be fine, or a flat brush. You could do that too, but that will be up to you. And then another thing that I'm going to do that I didn't do with my other one is I'm going to have all of the flowers turned at the viewer. I was trying to make some of them look like they're turned up at the sky. I'm just going to have all of them turned up at the viewer. The viewer meaning you, the painter, or somebody looking at the artwork that you're making. Okay, are there any questions so far about this? Now look at my live chat, and I just have a hello still. Okay, we don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this off to the side. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. If you look off to the side, it's not as shiny. It's a little shiny from when I started adding a little bit more, but that should be fine. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start off with where we want to lay the flowers out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of black and a little bit of yellow just to kind of get a very like deep brown. Okay, I want a sunflower to be up here, so I'm going to make a big circle shape. Remember, we're going to be going over this again, so if it's picking up the color or you're seeing any of the canvas behind, it's okay because we're just laying out our composition. The next one will be right here. Off to the side a little bit. It looks a little larger than the other one. I might try to make it the same. Okay, and the last one I'm going to put right here. And you can't see it as well as the other two because I have black in my background, but once we start going around it, we'll be able to see it a little bit better. Okay, so just accentuate some of the shape by repeating it. Try to make it as round as possible. If it's not as round, it's okay. I guess some flowers are not perfectly round when you look at them. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to be making the stems. So the stem, you're going to need the green and you're going to need a little bit of white, especially when you get down here because you want to be able to see your stems. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to add a little bit of black to my yellow and a little bit of white. This is the color that I want. If you wanted to do a different sort of green, you can use blue and yellow and that will do the same thing, but I wanted kind of like a muddy green. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll bring our stem over here, we'll bring another stem here, and then we'll bring another stem going in this direction. Now if you've ever seen sunflowers, they kind of S around, so go out like that. Bring it down. Okay. So I have that whole one. I'll bring it up a little bit so you can see it. I have a lot of paint right here, so I can turn that one into a petal. Not a petal, a leaf. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here, but I'm going to fill it going in this direction. And then this one is going to do like an S shape coming down. So my suggestion for this part right here is just to go back and forth just a little bit, trying to pick up some of that black if you can. And what will happen is you'll start having some shading occur, and that'll make it look a little bit more realistic. And then we'll add some tinting a little bit later, so we'll add some white to it. It made that one a little bit thick. They look like lollipops right now, I guess. How funny. Okay, so now for the leaf, what you're going to do, like I've said before, is you're going to bring it up and then just kind of spin your brush. So up and then flatten it out. This one's going to go off composition, looks like. Do this one. I'll do one over here. Now what you'd want to do is like pick spots where it's pretty empty. So I'm gonna put this other one right here. I'm gonna pick up some of this color that I have, bring it up, press down, and then lift up. And I spun it a little bit, so then that makes it look a little bit more organic or from life. And if you want to make sound effects, it's all up to you. This is pretty cool because if you're not really proud of your painting at the end, no one will see it. But if you're really proud of it, you can send it to me and I'll look at it. I'm probably going to be proud of it no matter what you think, because painting is so good for you. And that's why I'm doing this, is to put a little bit of happiness into everybody's world right now. To paint. Painting is awesome and therapeutic and just good for everybody. Even if you don't feel like you are the best painter, just the process of painting is really good for you. So that one kind of went down. I had one leaf in my prior painting that went right underneath the petals, and that didn't work out very well. Just to give you a heads up. If at any point you made a mistake, it's okay, let it dry, and we can go back over it later. And you can make it look intentional by adding some additional brush strokes to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry a little bit and wait for everybody to catch up. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. One way, I just want to make sure I go over this, one way to clean your brush is just take it, put it in your water, and then you'll hit it on the sides and on the bottom. And then the sponge brush, what you'll have to do is you'll have to squeegee it out on a towel or a rag if you have that. And if you don't like the color of your water, you can always go ahead and change it. I have a sink in my studio, luckily. Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Ooh. It's okay if you're late. What you could do is you can go back, so you can rewind this. So if you're late, it's okay. What we've done so far, and I don't know who that was, what you could do is you could just paint the background whatever color you want. It could be light blue, whatever. Oh, it's George, of course. George, you can paint the background whatever color you want. Get a hairdryer, dry it, and then start adding the stems. And then you can start working on the petals when we're starting, okay? And then you can go back at any point and work into it, okay? That is some name, George. Oh, okay. Well, why don't you just get a pencil and start working with us then, okay? Okay, go get a pencil and you can draw with us. And then you can turn these sunflowers into anything you want. You can make them into cat sunflowers, because I know how much you like cats. Or you can turn them into robot flowers. Whatever you want. Okay. So George is one of my students that is at school, well, at the school that I teach at. So he's joining us today. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start working on the petals, and we're just working on the placement, and then we'll start going into it as far as like making them look a little bit more realistic. So we're going to see a lot of the color through. So whatever we lay down, we'll be able to see through it. So I'm getting my yellow, and we'll go ahead and we'll go around, and then we'll do the same thing up here. So I'm going to bring this down just a little bit, and we're just going to press down and lift up, press down and lift up. And this is spaced, I'm spacing it out so that we can see some of the background through. And they look pretty small right now, but we'll fill them in a little bit more. But I like it when you can see the negative space of the flower through the composition. I think that's pretty. So we're just adding it in. If you need to make the petals longer, that's something that you could do. This looks like a pretty weak sunflower right now. Oh, poor sunflower. George, you can turn this one into a cat, and then this one into a dog, and then this one into one of your anime characters that you like. Or you could just make sunflowers. Okay, so I have that one ready. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, you can see through some of that, very translucent. So we're going to go back over that. We're actually going to go back over pretty much everything we've painted, because that's my process. Other painters paint differently than me. There's a lot of people out there that have their own processes. Kind of like singers have their own way of singing and warming up, and dancers as well. I think we have a few artists in here other than painters in here, which is cool. They might be joining us late, or they might be here right now. I don't know, because I don't know who's in the room right now with us. I just know that Rune and Tig are in here with me, and George. Oh, and Shauna too, because she put something down. Oh, this poor weak sunflower. We'll thicken you up soon. But I like the point at the end. I don't like the way that I painted the other one, so I'm going to keep the points as much as I can. I hope everybody's having a good day. I think it's going to be storming a little bit later in our area, which is Reading, for those of you who are coming to us from other cities and states. Way in Northern California. Oh, and if you notice right there, I went over the black part of the sunflower, the inside of the flower. That's okay, because we can always go back over it. We might even do that right now. So I'm gonna let this dry just a little bit while you guys catch up. If you are all caught up, maybe you want to paint the edges, or maybe you want to go get a drink of water or something while we wait for everybody. I'll see if I have any questions. Our next unit, George, is going to be, we're going to do a art history type of thing. You're going to really like it. So just look forward to that. It'll be our last unit online. But I'm kind of just thinking it through still. Okay. So I would suggest that you guys start using a different brush now that we have everything pretty lined up and laid out, so that we can be going over it with a little bit more detail. I'm using a round brush. I really like those. If you want to use a flat brush, you can. That works too. But something just a little bit smaller than what you've been working with. What we're first going to do, what we are going to go over first, will be the inside of the flower. And we're going to do a little bit of gray, a little bit of brown in it. I'm not going to be adding the seeds. I was thinking about doing that on my last painting, but it didn't turn out very well, so I just went over it. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make brown. The way that you make brown is you add a little bit of red into yellow, and then get a teeny tiny bit of blue, or you could do black if that's what you have and you're not using blue today, and that's how you make brown. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go around, go over some of the lines that I've already touched, but I'm not making like outlines. I'm just going over a little bit because I like making it look round and have depth to it, but I don't want to make it look like it's so consistent that it's not real. So if it is really, really, really consistent, that might turn in a little bit whimsical, which will be fine. It's a little red. Need to add a little more blue to that. And I'm going around. It's so pretty now. All right, I'm doing the same thing over here. If you like these paint nights that we have, and you have a suggestion as far as something that you'd like to paint, please just email me or text me if you have my phone number, or just message me if you do not. You can go onto the Laura Studio page and find a way to contact me. If you can't find a way, just post something on here and I will make sure I contact you to see what you might want to do. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of white to that brown, and I'm going to be adding a few more of those brush strokes that go around. Now, they're not too consistent. The way I like to put it is they're inconsistently consistent. Okay, and I'll be going over that again too, because that's a little light. So they're all over the place, but they're not the same exact brush stroke. But they're all going in the same direction, which is consistent. They're not the same thickness, so they're inconsistent. Hence the consistent conversation that I'm having with myself right now. Okay, so this looks a little bit off for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a dark gray, and I'm going to just add a little bit more to this because this has too much contrast for me. So here and here, too much contrast. So I'm just add that brush stroke and that goes away. So my eye isn't just completely drawn to that brush stroke anymore. Same thing over here. And if I want to go over this a little bit later, I could do that. That's always an option. Okay, and now I'm going to go over this with black just to blend some of this color that I've already laid out. Maybe darken some of it. It's looking pretty. I'm looking it off to the side too, so hopefully it looks pretty for you too. Oh, I froze? Uh-oh. Thank you. Okay, is it frozen still? Hopefully it's not. Okay. Still going on. I think my battery is a little bit low. And I had it hooked up, so hopefully it will stay. Okay, it's back. Cool. So I'm just going over, thanks Shauna for that text. If that happens again, just let me know, okay? Thanks, George. I think art is the best too. But so are a lot of other subjects. We have other teachers in here right now. Okay, now that we have that, we are going to start doing the petals, and we'll work our way out and then we'll work our way back in. So we're going to do our petals, we're going to do our leaves and stem again, and then we're going to do the petals again, because what's going to happen is when we're working on the stem and the leaves, they will start going backwards. I'm not backwards. They'll start disappearing as far as the technique. So if I go over this leaf again, some of these petals will disappear. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow into the white, just so I know that it's opaque. And then I'm going to be going over petals. And I'm hoping that the battery is okay right now. It's okay. Hopefully it's working. I might have to switch it over to my phone in that case. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll start up here first. You'll go thin, thick, thin. That means you're touching the canvas just a tiny bit, then you're pressing down hard, and then you're bringing it back up. This is best done with a round brush, 8-10 size. Pretty satisfying right there. Okay, I'm going to keep doing that around. If it's freezing, as far as not the temperature, but my video, I'll change it. you can't do much of this in pencil, then turn it into something. I want to see some creativity with this, okay, George? All right. I like that. I like how you can just see that it's just growing right out of the center of the flower. Some of it has a little bit more white. I'm going to take some of this paint and put it over here. Cool. This is not as pointy as I want, so I'm going to point them a little more. All right, so we have that one all set to go. We're going to do this next one. Some of the flower or petals are going to be going over the top of these ones. So I'm not going to worry about like which one is supposed to be on top at this point. I will fix that when I get to that point. But I'm going to do the same thing that I did up there. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to it. And if you need to turn your canvas around, meaning like this, so you can make it a consistent brush stroke, you can do that. Nobody's stopping you from painting it the right side. A lot of my students like to paint their stuff upside down and display it right side up. Which sounds strange, but it really is not strange. Well, maybe it is, but artists are weird, right? But the good weird. I have a friend that says things are weird with a beard. And I say that still. Every time I say it, I think of her. Oh, to Neil. Weird with a beard. If you want to twist your brush, that's another way of making it pointier at the end. Is this anyone's very first painting today? Or very first painting with me today? Sometimes when I'm painting over at Turtle Bay, I get people that have never painted before. And that's really cool to see what they make. They surprise themselves because they're sitting there and they're focusing. Not really worrying about anyone else but themselves for a little while, which is great. I think at the end, this one is going to be the most forward. So when we go over this one, some of the petals are going to go over, so we'll just have to fix those. Cool. And then we're going to have to go back over the sunflower too. I think we need to lighten it up a little bit. But we'll do that a little later. Okay, the last one. And then I'm going to wait a little bit because I know some of you are probably a little bit behind. And I'm going to go get another cord that I think will be a better one for plugging my iPad in. I have had a former student contact me this week. I hope she's in here today. Her name's Audrey. I think she was a student of mine when she was in junior high. She is an awesome artist. She shared some of her pieces with me this week. A lot of figurative work and portraiture, which I love. So she might be here today. So if you're here, hi Audrey. Okay, so I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit while everybody catches up, but I'm gonna go plug in my Chromebook with a better cord. This one doesn't seem to be working. So keep working, I'll be right back. So all of my paint nights are recorded. So if you at any point want to go back and paint with me, you can. And so they're on my live stream section of my my YouTube channel. And you can also have paint night parties with your friends if you want to. You can just put it on a screen, like when we're done with quarantining or shelter in place. What you could do is you could put these live streamed videos on and you can paint, or you can just do it together with me on the screen. So there are options for you, but they're recorded. Not pre-recorded, but recorded, and they'll be put on there on my YouTube channel. Okay, let's see if we are ready to go. Oh, you're here, Audrey, yay! Hi, Jessica. Oh, cool. Hi, Romney. hope you're staying while you're painting with me. Okay. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead and start working on the leaves. And so what is happening here are a few things. I tried to add in some of the veins, but I was trying to be painterly with it, so you don't have to be really precise. So we'll be adding those in. We're also going to go back in and create some highlights into it. And then last thing that we're going to do is we're going to add in some black, and that's going to add in some shading. So it's really going to create the illusion that it's more than just these lines. There is some dimension to it. So these leaves are going to come forward, and then we'll have ones that go back, or parts of it that go back. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is we are going to create the veins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get black, and I'll start first with, we'll do this bottom one. What you're going to do is you're going to find the center. Now on leaves, I have some leaves in here. This is from another painting that I'm doing. On leaves, especially when they're turned onto the side, you see some of the vein. You don't see all of it. So what we're going to do is we'll go in, and we'll go. Okay, so we just did like half. The center part is up here, and then we'll do some lines. And if it looks too consistent right now, we're going to fix that later. Okay. Cool. Thank you guys for painting with me today. Even though I don't really hear your side of the conversation, just having you here with me is really awesome, because I miss having people around to paint with. So here we go. Line, 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 line. Or just creating. I think sometimes, like working with my students, it's my work of art, because I help them with their pieces a lot of the times, and we come up and do some creative problem solving. I'm not necessarily like painting in the class. Sometimes I am. But just having that creative dialogue is just, it's really awesome. So there we go. I'm doing the veins. This one right here, I don't like it very well, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it in black and just cover up. So I'm whitening it out, I'm blacking it out right here. And I'll make my vein. We'll do the same thing over here. So it's really cool that who we have in this class today. We have former students. I have some colleagues in here that work at UPrep. I have Andreas's classmates in here. I have some of my family members. I think I have some teammates. That's triathlon teammates in here. We're all making this one image, but everybody's going to have something different in the end. Even though we're painting with me and we're painting all roughly the same image, they're all going to look unique, just like you guys. You're all unique people. Okay, so now that we have the veins, we're going to do some painterly brush strokes. So with the same brush stroke, I really like Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray is my favorite color. So the way that I make it with this paint is I add blue to black and then add a little bit of white. So it's not like a baby blue, it's a gray. Okay, so here we go. We're going to be going into some of these leaves, but keeping some of the veins that we've made. But we're going to be going over a few of them so that it's not so consistent and we're not making a pattern. We don't really we see patterns in nature, but when they're out in the open, we're just looking at them, they're not as consistent as what we've done right here today. So we'll do that here. When I was first working on painting in college, my professors would say, and this is back when canvases weren't just like readily available all the time like they are at Michael's. They would say, why don't you just get a piece of cardboard and we'll paint on that. So that's how I learned how to paint, was on cardboard. And then as I became a little bit more attuned to painting, then I started making my canvases, and that's something that we had to do before Michael's and all the other stores started making these canvases. So yeah. Painting on cardboard is awesome. All right, so with that same color, I'm going to be just bringing some of that down onto the stem, and I'm going to be placing it in different areas. I'm not going to be really like worried too much of where I'm placing it. Okay, but I want to make sure that it's on the stem. If it's on the stem, it's on the leaves. So there's some carryover. All right, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a light green. And so I already made green up here, so I'm just going to add a little bit of white to that. And I'm going to do the same thing to some of the leaves that I have here. That's pretty. That's a little bit too yellow. I'm going to darken it up a little bit. I have an idea of what the green I want. Okay. There we go. So you can add that, but keep those veins still. We're just going over some of the parts. And then I can carry some of that down or up. I cover up some of that. I might just, I don't really like that leaf as much as the other ones, so I might go over that one a little bit later. Oh, I can hear the wind starting. I heard that there's going to be thunderstorms, which will be really cool. I can go sit outside my balcony and look. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make some, I'm going to touch up some spots. I think this leaf looks a little bit off, so I'm going to thicken it up in some spots right here. Keep that painterly approach. And this is bulging out a little bit. I might add a little bit of black to that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of black to the green that I've made and then create some shadowing. Okay, and so typically when the sun is way, way high up like this and shadows are falling down, it goes below the items. So I'm going to be doing that. Now, I didn't like that leaf very much. It's too consistent. Okay, I'm going to move on. Okay. So now I'm adding black shapes that are underneath the leaves that fall into the stem. Do that here too. I'm going to fix that a little bit later. And then underneath the flower should be a little bit darker. So the flower is casting a shadow on top of the leaves and the stem. I don't know where that one went. I'll just bring it over here a little bit so we can see a little bit. This one's like a big S shape right now. I'm gonna go over this part right here. And just fix some leaves that I think I need to fix. So while you guys are working on your leaves and your stems, I'm just gonna fix a few of the leaves that I don't like by just adding black around. Even if I'm going all the way up here, like I could try to match the color, but I can go back. Yeah, there we go. I can go back over it at any point and make it look intentional. So let's see, that leaf is right there. If there's a part where, like up here, I don't like it very much, so if I add a little bit of gray, it's not really matching all the other gray, but because of the amount of color I'm using everywhere else, it just looks intentional. So I'm just gonna touch up some of these leaves. I'm making some beep sounds as I do it. little too much gray in there. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes some weeks are a little bit tougher than others. This week was a very tough week for me. So I'm just happy I get to be painting with you guys this week. Even though I'm like a pretty big introvert, I enjoy people quite a bit and hanging out with them. And yeah, so that was hard this week, and I'm having a hard time Zooming all the time. I guess I'm maybe just not that into it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it has to be tough on other people too, out there. So I'm hoping that this is helping you if you're struggling too a little bit. So I'm being a little bit quiet, just focusing on my leaves and trying to make them look a little bit better. So I hope you're doing the same. So if you're having issues or if you don't like what you're seeing or whatever, just shoot me an email or a text or whatever with the picture, and I can help you through your picture as you're working on it, especially when we're done with the whole thing. I can't do it really right now because I'm demonstrating. I would be happy to help you later. I realized that I made the leaves a lot larger on my other painting, so it was a little bit easier to paint. But whatever. This is looking pretty. Oh, I'll look at it a little bit later. Okay. Now, think about your composition, like which one is on top of the other. So this flower that is closest to the bottom, I'm going to make that one the one that's closest. This one will be the second closest. That one's going to be the third closest. Okay, so that being said, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to work on this one, then I'm going to work on this one, and then I'm going to work on this one. And because all of these petals are so similar right here, or they're overlapping and you don't know which one is which, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these ones the lightest, and then these ones a little bit dark, and then these ones darker. The darker that you have your flowers, or the darker that you have your image against something lighter, the lighter will always come forward. So we'll start with this one and then work our way out. So find the one that's going to be the one that is furthest behind, and we're going to make it the darkest one. So you can add a little bit of red to it or violet if you want to. So that would make it like almost a brown color for the petals. And then the inside we'll do a little bit later. So I'm making it just a little bit darker than I would do these ones up here. So we'll do the same thing. I'm not going to be really worried about the end of it because we're going to be going back over it with these ones. We're going to use more white with that one. We're thickening these up a little bit more. If you don't know this, the complementary color to yellow is violet, and that subdues the color, turns it more into a neutral. So that's what I was kind of trying to do to this to some extent. Not like completely, but because I didn't add that much to it. But I just wanted to subdue it just a little bit so that it goes to the foreground a little bit, or the background. And this one pops up to the foreground. Okay, we're done with that one. So now we're going to move on to this one. We're going to make it just a little bit lighter, add a little bit more yellow to the color, a little bit more white to it. And we're going to go over here. And the ends of these ones don't really matter as much. But if you want to practice a little bit before you go all the way around, you could do that. But you'll see that this one looks like it's on top of this one now, that there's a variation, which is good. That's what we're aiming for. And that one I can make a little bit lighter at the end so it looks like it is a little bit more on top. See that? You could do that with this one too. Okay. now that I'm done with that one, I'm going to do this one. This one's going to be the lightest yellow, so I'm going to be adding a lot of white to my yellow. I'm going to start first by going on top of this one. I'm going to make this one larger. I might have to do a few layers of this just because I really want it to look like it's coming forward. And I can see a little bit of the background, which I do not like. And yeah, so I'll do that. Make it. I can add some white to it, just to mix it. Hopefully this is challenging you guys today a little bit. If it doesn't challenge you, then we need to make it a little bit more challenging by harder subject matter, I guess. But I bet it is. I bet it's challenging, and that's a good thing. We need challenges in our life. Whoops, I'm going to go back over that with black. Not really worried about it right now. Okay, so now what I did with this other sunflower painting was I added some browns and white to it on top of it, and I kind of like globbed it everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of the spots on the flowers up here, like the circle parts. And then I'm also going to be going over the petals a little bit, but I'm not going to be explaining every little brush stroke I'm doing, as that will become challenging. Sometimes, well, a lot of times in painting, it's really hard to talk and paint at the same time. So if you ever hear me struggling with that, that's because it is a challenge. You guys try and write and paint, or write and talk at the same time. It's challenging. So this is the time to freestyle. So we're not done quite yet. I'm not done. You might be done. I'm not sure. But I'm just freestyling a little bit. Think about what you guys want to do for your next painting. Open to some options. So far we've done a succulent, we've done cactus, we've done an owl, done sunflowers. What else did we do? Oh, we did another form of flower. We did poppies. Yeah, I'm just kind of going with what everybody tells me they want to do. My former employer, my former principal that was painting with us, she wanted to do sunflowers, so that would be a good one to do. I don't know if Kathy's here today. Hope you are. I bet you are. I bet you're here. You're typically painting with me when we do these. If not, at a later date. I think my Aunt Linda wanted to do hydrangeas. That'd be nice. We could do hydrangeas. I don't know if we're doing too many flowers. If you guys want to change it up, we could do hydrangeas. Not this weekend, but the weekend after, and then we'll do something else next week. That's just something to think about. Maybe I'll just extend this flower or petal. So now look, you can see that this is receding because of how dark it is. I can even make it darker. So it's just like magic, and we're magicians, and we're trying to make things give the illusion of receding. All you magicians out there. It's magic. Laura's been painting with us quite a bit. I don't know if she's here today. It's been really nice to have her painting with us. Oh, we've had a few parents of the school that I teach at and their kids painting with me, which is really sweet to see all of them together. I did get a photo of a family together, which was really, really cute. I loved it. It was really sweet. They all had different things going on, but it all stems from something similar, which is our painting that we're doing. In a minute, I'll look at the statements. If you said anything, I'll look at that. But right now, now that I've gone over the flowers a little bit, I'm going to go over the stem. I need to make it a little bit lighter. I don't really like how dark it is, so I'm adding a little bit of light brush strokes to it. Just because the composition is so dark, if it's too dark, then it kind of gets lost. So I was just trying to go back over it a little bit more. tomorrow Andreas and I are supposed to go fishing, but I don't think we're going to do that. So it's really windy out. Maybe we will. Maybe it'll be a better day. It's been pretty cold in the lake, but I've been able to swim without my wetsuit on, which is great. One day I did 5 miles. It was awesome. But I was pretty beat the rest of the week after that. So I need to let my body recover a little bit, and I'll do a longer swim this week again. For those of you who don't know, I'm a distance marathon swimmer, and the lake is, if I'm not here, I'm at the lake swimming. I want to get a sign that says, you know, like gone swimming or something like that, instead of gone fishing, although I do fish quite a bit too. I go fly fishing. Gone painting. Gone fishing. And then at the lake, I wear my Crocs. One day they were gone because they flew away. I figured out nobody took them. They flew away because this week I went swimming and one of my Crocs was missing, and I thought, oh no. And there's no way somebody just took one. So I think they just flew away. It happens, I guess. Those things are so light. Maybe some of you are like, Crocs, those are ugly. I like them. I think they're cute. I guess they're cute to the ugly extent that they're cute. I don't know. But I like wearing them. They're soft and easy to put on, and they protect your feet when you're walking down on rocks. Okay, I got 2 thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna see if there's anything that you guys said. Oh, you want to paint a puppy? We could probably do that. It's okay if you are working on your painting. I'll say this. If you're working on your painting and you don't feel like it is very good, that's okay. Romney brought up something. So if you don't feel like your painting is very good, it's okay. Just think about how long you paint. So sometimes when we haven't painted in a really long time, it's harder to do it. Just like if you haven't danced in a while, or if you haven't sung in a while, you have to warm up to it. So if that happens, if you end up not liking your painting, it's okay. What we'll do is we'll paint on top of it, like gesso it or make it white, and then we'll make another one, okay? And it's not about the product. I want you to know this. It's not about the product, it's about the process, and you're going through the process. Some of this is more challenge. Some of you are having more of a challenge than others doing this, and that's great. You know, we need to challenge ourselves. We need to try new things in order to get, you know, if that's something that you want to work on and get better at, that's great to have goals. So sometimes like things don't turn out the way that we want to or want them to, but just think about the process. Like There's no way that I could be painting with you guys if I did not have, if I haven't painted for a while. So I wouldn't feel confident and comfortable doing this. This isn't like the best painting that I've ever done, but I'm okay with it because I was able to paint with you, and I'm really happy that I was able to do that. So it's okay. It's the process, not the product. It's the growth mindset that everybody is talking about, right? Yeah, there we go. But I do really want to see what you've done. So if at any point you can text it to me or send it to me in a message on my channel or on my studio page, that would be great. So I was just playing around with these. Okay, what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is just hang out and work on my piece for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to log out. Feel free to, ask any questions, or if you need anything, I'm here for you. My leaves are looking a little funky right now, so I'm just going to be playing around with them right now. I hope you guys are having fun. I mean, this is not to stress anybody out or make anybody feel like they aren't an artist, because everybody's an artist. We're just at different stages. So don't feel stressed out. This is to relieve stress. If we don't like it, like this painting right here, I might just go back over it and then do a different painting. I might paint some puppies. Somebody else wanted a puppy. Maybe we'll do an abstract puppy. I don't know. We'll see. These are a little bit more difficult to paint, especially if we're trying to match a breed. For the person that wanted to do a puppy, can you tell me what kind of breed you'd want to do? Because I have lots of paintings of my puppies, my dogs, because they are my muses. But if you want to do a different kind, let me know. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do an abstract painting just to have fun and experiment with. Is anyone making their Mother's Day gift right now? That'd be cute. I'll send this to her. Good. So I just got a text from Shauna, my friend, and she had a good time. And she sent me some of her pictures. So I would like to see some of your pictures by means of however you communicate with me. So George, you can send yours to me through Google Classroom. Those of you who have my phone number, you can just text it to me. And those of you who I've never met before in my life, you can send it to my my studio page. That would be great. Or even this page. I think you might be able to put pictures. I'm not really sure. I'm not that big of a YouTuber. But I'm able to stream live off my phone now, which is great because I have 1,000 subscribers. Which my kiddos are impressed by. I don't know. I just do it for them, and I do it for you guys. And it's fun. If you, like I said at the beginning of this paint class today, or paint night, I am doing watercolor tutorials. I'm starting one, well, I started one last night, and I'll finish it up soon, and I will just be posting those on my YouTube channel. I have a friend that is doing watercolors, and I just wanted to inspire that by, well, I was inspired by that, and she wanted to have some lessons on that, and so I've made one so far. Watercolors are more tricky than acrylic because you cannot really go back over it, so I cannot make it into a paint night, but I can make it into a tutorial, and I will have that posted on my channel. So I'll show you at the end so you can see what I'm doing. If there's anything in watercolor that you really want to know how to do, send me a picture. Typically when I see a picture of something, I can break it down, or if I see an image, I can break it down. Deconstructing, I guess, deconstructing an image in order to create it. That's what artists more or less do. I just made this one up, but I do remember seeing a painting similar to this that one of my friends has painted, but hers is gorgeous. She loves sunflowers. She's an amazing person. Her name's Tammy Watson. She's the art teacher over at Enterprise, and she's a beautiful person, and I love her so much. Oop, I put water into that. That might turn out cool. Anywho, I think I'm going to be done with this. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit longer. I'm going to do my little signature at the bottom that I've been doing. I've been putting in an L with a little C, backward C, just to have a little flair. Okay, so there we go. I am done with my painting. Please, like I said before, if you have any questions, let me know. I would love to see your paintings. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.